Yo, what's going on, guys? First of all, welcome back to CommenTerry, where I talk sports and beyond. I just want to say to everyone who was starting out with me, I know I started and got a lot of people excited about this new venture of my life. And then all of a sudden I kind of disappeared for a little while. I'm just gonna say I apologize for that because I know a lot of you guys was hitting me up like, yo, when's this next episode gonna be uploaded? I can't wait to hear it because I love talking, listening to and watching you talk sports. And now that I got like my whole camera situation and everything, I've truly invested in myself to do this. I'm super excited about it. So, and also too, just, the ups and downs of life, not getting too high, not getting too low. For a while there, I was applying to jobs and, it's life, right? But we are here nonetheless, sports, mainly the NBA. And let me tell you, it didn't disappoint for round one of the playoffs. And I got some questions, some things, but let's just talk about, let's start off with the 76ers and the Wizards, right? I have the 76ers winning this whole series, obviously. Joel Embiid did not have a great game to start off with, but Tobias Harris played out of his mind. If you watch that game, 37 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Tobias Harris looked like he just couldn't miss out there. Do I expect that type of game from him every time? No. But Embiid was in foul trouble a lot, and so you had to rely on a second option. Unfortunately, Ben Simmons is not that second option, but he did do his thing on rebounding and assists. He was there, and his defense, what he's known for. You're not expecting Ben Simmons to like outrageously score. With Tobias Harris, it was nice to see him step up. Bradley Beal was doing his thing, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Do I expect more from Westbrook? I'm not going to be too down or too hard on Russell Westbrook. I want to see more, and I know as this series progresses, Russell Westbrook is going to start to insert himself more. But I do look to Bradley Beal to be the main scorer. Why? Because in clutch moments, the last thing I wanted to honestly see was Russell Westbrook try to pull up for a three. You have to figure out how to get the ball in Bradley Beal's hands at that point. But needless to say, 76ers, of course, took the win. The first win, 125-118. I kind of expected that. But you know what? Let's talk about another game I want to say, which was to me was the game of the weekend. If you were watching it, the Bucks and the Heat. I think that's going to go to a 7-game series. You can comment and let me know what you think about the series, but I think the Bucks and the Heat are going to go 7 games, and it's going to come. I think the Bucks are going to take it. All right. I think the Heat this time have run into a Bucks team that's ready to win. I think Holiday was a great addition. And man, that last second shot by Middleton, it's great that Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't have to do it all. Because Giannis won, as he's developing to shoot more, you can't, when it comes down to those clutch moments, you need a clutch shooter. You need someone to step up and take the shot. And I don't think Giannis is that person that I want taking the shot when it all matters. Matter of fact, that's what Middleton's there for. That's what Holiday's there for, to relieve Giannis' pressure of trying to do everything. And so it was good to see with Chris Middleton scoring 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. They win the overtime. To me, that was the game of the weekend. If you didn't watch that game, I was like, that's how the game is supposed to go. Duncan Robinson, he had 24 points. He had a great game as well. But like I said, I got the Bucks taking this one. 7 games. I think it's going to go all the way, and I think the Bucks are going to win the series. Moving along, I am concerned for the Clippers, right? The Mavericks won 113-103, and it was in decided fashion. Like, I don't know, Luka Doncic, like, what more can you say? Like, this year, I didn't see him being the MVP. But like Luka said in one of his interviews, he's not worried about MVP. He's worried about championships. He's worried about rings. He showed it. He had 31 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. Luka, man. Now, if you're a Hawks fan and you probably looked at Luka, and I'm gonna get to the Hawks soon enough, but if you looked at Luka and what he's been doing, you're like, man, did we miss out on having Luka? But I'm gonna talk about Trae Young later. Just hold tight. But Luka magic is something to see. And the Clippers. Yes, Kawhi had 26 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I just feel like that team is still incomplete. It sounds weird to say, but I don't see the Clippers The West is wide open, but I don't see the Clippers going to the Western Conference Finals. Needless, they would have to be balling out of their minds, and I just don't see the Clippers for whatever reason. The Clippers is that team that just seems weird to me. Like having Paul George, having Kawhi Leonard, like on the same team. I feel like they should be doing great things, right? But it's just, I just there's something about that team that just doesn't scream success coming out the West. But needless to say, I think the Clippers might get this one done I think we'll come to 7 games. I think it's going to come to 7 games and somehow the Clippers are going to pull it off and they're going to advance. I don't know how they're going to do it, but again, 7 games, the Clippers beating the Mavs. That's what I got. What do you think about that matchup? Moving along, this one, I just feel bad for the Celtics because I don't care how great you play. Man, the Nets are the Nets. You could be hanging around, or the Nets could be hanging around for 3 quarters, right? And you could think, oh, we got this. Then all of a sudden, 8 minutes is all the Nets need to just go crazy scoring. James Harden, he had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. But if you want to really know the factor of the situation, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant combined for 81 points that game. 81 points. The score was 104. And they got it done on defense. They didn't even go crazy in scoring this game. Think about that. They didn't even go crazy in scoring, and 3 of them still combined for 81 points. And Jason Tatum is a stud. But you know who I was impressed with watching that game? Robert Williams was the defensive monster out there. He locked that paint down for the Celtics. I was impressed. But it's the Nets, man. I don't want to be disrespectful and say the Nets are going to sweep the Celtics. I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 4-1. I think they're going to take it in 5. Nets are going to win in 5. I think the Celtics are going to somehow win 1 game, but I don't see them winning more than 1 game. Not with this Nets team. I'm just going to be real with you. Moving along, the Trail Blazers and the Nuggets. Now, I think this one can go 6 to 7 games, right? If it goes 7, I think it's going to be the Blazers. If it goes 6 games, I'm going to give it to the Nuggets. But here's the situation. The Nuggets are a different team, and I get it. Jokic is probably MVP of the league this year, but without Jamal Murray, they're a different squad, right? Without him as point guard, they're a different squad. They're still a lethal squad. They're still a really good team. But without Jamal Murray as point guard, you have a hungry Blazers team, and you have Damian Lillard, who just refuses to back down. Big shot Dame is like, when it's Dame time, you know it, and he's not afraid of the moment. So again, if they go 7 games this round, I want to give it to the Blazers. I think the Blazers might pull it off. But 7 and under, I'm gonna give it to the Nuggets. I think they might figure it out. What's your thoughts? What's your takes on that situation? But another really good game. The West is wide open. Being honest with you, there was no clear runaway victories in this situation. Then on Sunday, the Lakers played the Suns. I was excited about this game. And then I saw what the Suns were capable of. And I thought these young boys are ready, with the exception of Chris Paul, obviously, because, Chris Paul's 35 now, but still holding it down. Chris Paul and the incredible job of head coach Monty Williams, what he's done with the Suns. Honestly, I just think that with the amount of time LeBron James has been out, with the amount of time Anthony Davis has been out, Schroeder's been out, the team is not at where they need to be, which is, I feel like if you're a Lakers fan, you just think, oh, it's the Lakers. They could just turn it on. LeBron James is getting older, and Anthony Davis needs to come with that killer instinct every game. And sometimes with the Anthony Davis, you don't get that killer instinct every game. Now, he's going to still put up great numbers because he's like top 5 player in the NBA. But you need someone with a top 5 player in the NBA to have that killer instinct game in and game out. LeBron's going to have that instinct game. And you watch LeBron in this game, he tried to feel himself around. He tried to do as much as he could, but he's 35. LeBron's 35, 36 now. You can't consistently expect him to carry. He's going to do as much as he can, but what do you have Anthony Davis there for? And he was pretty much anemic the whole game. He didn't start coming on until the 4th, but by then it was too late because Devin Booker My goodness. It was his first playoff. And he said, I believe he set a franchise record for a first time outing in a playoff series, scoring 34 points. That was the most of any Suns ever in their first time being in a playoff situation. And so 34 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. He was getting the job done. Chris Paul did sustain some injuries, which, something to notice, something to watch out for. But I think enough of Chris Paul has rubbed off on these guys that their mentality plus the head coaching example of Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton, like playing big in the paint. I think the Lakers still are going to get this one done, but let me be honest with you, all right? Because I know the betting odds kind of changed for the Suns in favor of the Suns beating the Lakers in this round, which is very interesting, right? Because you win the first game, and that's all the Suns really needed to do is kind of just get a leg up on the Lakers. I think the Lakers defense, I think Anthony Davis, he already said it in a press conference himself. He blames him. He can't play the way he plays. And if you know anything about Anthony Davis, whenever he says he needs to step it up, the next game he goes like next world playing. So I expect the Lakers to win the next game against the Suns. But with that being said, the Lakers can't afford to have games like they did in game one, because if they do, the Suns might actually win the round and take out the defending championship Lakers, which would be crazy because I would love to see a Lakers-Nets finals, putting it out there. But at this point, I would say, and I'm going to save this for a later podcast, but I would love to see Chris Paul in the finals. I think he deserves it. And my question is going to be, and you just think about this. You think about this. What current NBA player that has never been to an NBA finals, to you deserves a shot for a contending team to play for an NBA championship? I think Chris Paul is one of those candidates for me that's plus 32. And I'm set the bar at that. 32 years old, plus 32, and it's never been to the finals. Who deserves a chance to actually make it to the finals and have a shot at winning it? I'm not saying give him because you need to win it once you get there, but at least deserves a chance to go to the finals and play for it and compete for it. But that Suns team is looking deadly. I love the way they were looking, man. Moving along, the Hawks and the Knicks. I heard cheering the night the Hawks won outside. I was watching it in my place. My windows were open, and I thought I was going crazy. I could hear like light, faint cheers, and so whatever bar was close to me. Atlanta's hype right now. Trae Young in his first outing, first time in the playoffs, scores 32 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. He's 3 shy of a triple-double. But not only that, he iced the game with the floater. You couldn't write it better for the Hawks. And I'm actually happy for the Hawks because Nate McMillan taking over interim coach, and you've seen what he's done throughout the years as head coach. Just brilliant, right? So the Hawks are going to be something to watch. Also, I know the Madison Square Garden was going crazy for the Knicks because the Knicks was holding it down. That was a great game. If you missed that game, I think this is going to be a great series, something else to watch. But the Knicks are on the come up. Even if they don't win this series, which I have the Hawks winning this series, I think it's going to go back and forth. It isn't going to be one, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won the series, but I have the Hawks winning it just because I think Trae Young the pressure's on for Trae Young. But shout out to the Knicks bench. And they definitely need to make some adjustments because Derrick Rose coming off the bench, doing what he did. Alec Burks coming off the bench, 27 points. Alex Burks was playing out of his mind as well. Now, I will say I don't know what you can call it at this point, most improved player or MVP candidate, Julius Randle, he didn't have a great outing. And so I don't expect that. I expect Julius Randle to, make some adjustments and him to get more involved. He didn't have a great shooting game, but you don't have to score. You could do more than just scoring to impact the game. But the Hawks didn't have back down in them. And so I honestly, though, I think I have the Hawks in 6. If it goes to 7, then I might be, more willing to see that the Knicks might win this game. But I got the Hawks in 6, and I'm just going to be real with you. But both teams are looking really damn good, really damn good. And the last game of the NBA playoffs, Grizzlies and the Jazz. If I'm a Jazz fan, I'm concerned. And I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned. Because it's game 1 of the NBA playoffs and still no show for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is as key to the Jazz as Murray is for the Nuggets. And now I'm wondering how severe, how bad is this ankle injury with Donovan Mitchell? How much more is he going to miss? And the Jazz can't afford to not have Mitchell on the court. Not with the Grizzlies, not with Ja Morant and Dylan Brooks growing confidence in each other and this team. This team is a scrappy team. And the Grizzlies, they're not going to say we're just the fluke that just happened to make it in. They had to scrap. They had to fight, claw, scratch each and every game towards the end of the season just to make it to the playoffs. And they're here. They're in the playoffs. So, and they're not going to just say, hey, we're here by accident. So I think the Jazz, they need to get Donovan Mitchell on the court as quick as possible, because as much as I love Mike Conley, I don't think Mike Conley is going to get it done by himself. And, you know, it's just something about Donovan Mitchell. He's a scoring machine, and you need that scoring option out there. If not, I think the Grizzlies they're going to give the Jazz as much as they can handle. And that's my takes on the playoffs right now. Now I do have a up for debate topic. And I want you to hit me up with what you think. You can comment, and, you know, we might talk about it at the beginning of the next podcast. But if the Warriors had a redo for the draft, knowing what you know now, and you could pick who they would draft, would the Warriors select Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, or would they still go with James Wiseman? Think about it. The up for debate topic. If the Warriors had a redo for the draft and you can select for the Warriors, who should they go with, knowing what you know now, and we'll exclude the injuries, because all three of them played great up until, you know, certain injuries. LaMelo, he had his injuries. James Wiseman, he was out for the rest of the season after he sustained his injury. But Anthony Edwards played great. Who would you select for them? Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, or James Wiseman? Now, here's my argument for all of them. James Wiseman, for the long term, is going to be great, right? And I say that because this past season, you looked at it as if, okay, we're playing with house money because Klay is injured. And I think the Warriors are a totally different team once you throw Klay into the mix. So you have Steph. Think about it. Think about next season. You're going to have Steph, who was MVP caliber this year. Steph, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Wiseman. That's going to be a formidable 5 starting off next year. And think about what they did without Klay this year. Wait till Klay comes back. My goodness. But in the meantime, this year, if we're only looking at this year and who could have helped, then I probably wouldn't have picked Wiseman, knowing what I know right now, to help them get to the playoffs this year. LaMelo is intriguing to me, but to me, LaMelo, I'm not going to say is a bigger Steph, because clearly I like LaMelo's playmaking over Anthony Edwards' playmaking. But Anthony Edwards scoring. Anthony Edwards is that dog. Anthony Edwards is that man that when you give him the ball, he's going to make something happen with it. And I think to relieve the pressure after watching the Memphis Grizzlies Warriors game to see who's going to go to the playoffs, I was like, wow. There was times where I watched Draymond Green like wide open, and it was almost 4-on-5 because they were like, we're not worried about Draymond scoring. But I think if Draymond had an extra person to pass it to that he knew wasn't afraid to go to the bucket, because Anthony Edwards could go to the bucket and he's not scared to, but neither is LaMelo either. They're both creative, but I have enough playmaking for me. I have enough playmakers on the Warriors roster that I don't need another playmaker. And so that's why I would give the edge to Anthony Edwards. I think he would have been a phenomenal pick for the Warriors. Plus, if you look in the long term, you can still run Klay at the 3 and run Anthony Edwards at the 2 because of the length of Klay Thompson, you can still run him at the 3. And think about it, you got scoring nonstop. And that's the last thing you want to see is the Warriors in a scoring frenzy. So that's my take on it. I think I will go with Anthony Edwards But in the long run, I can still see how James Wiseman will be beneficial for the team. What do you think out of those three redrafting? Who would you pick? All right, that's going to do it for the show. I love you guys, man. Hit me up on those socials at Terry J on air, and I'll see you next time.